Pat McAfee's lost his mind.
The Colts have the football. That's up. Throws one over the intercepted. Marlon Jackson. Marlon got it. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl.
The rivalry is back on.
Oh, happy Saturday, everybody. We are For the Shoe. We got Andy here, and Damon came to join us today. Rob will be on here in a little bit, and Trev is still out at cavalry training, I guess, doing whatever Cav Scouts do. Boring stuff, I can tell you. All right, so before we get started to talk about the AFC South, we are going to go ahead and do a shout-out to NFL Longest Yard. NFL Longest Yard is our 32-team group. So if you like to talk football without the trash talk, go ahead over to NFL Longest Yard. We're going to do a shout out to Sports Fanatics. They provide sports updates every day. They do some cool different types of polls and different types of brackets and stuff. So they stay pretty involved. Go ahead and join over there. And then we're also going to do a shout out to DNR Breaks. These are our sponsors and probably the best break group I've been in. They are always bringing hot fire. Andy's a little upset. I don't think he's hit yet, but he will hit eventually. I've got a buttload of stuff from DNR Breaks. Matt Myers is on fire. And before Matt Myers, Dave Sanchez was on fire. And so if you like to collect sports memorabilia, it's anything. It's hockey, baseball, basketball, football, college football. I think they do college basketball. You like to collect any of that stuff, full-size helmets, mini helmets, jerseys, cards, football, baseballs, baseball helmets, baseball jerseys, hockey pucks, all different types of stuff, man. Go ahead and go over there, join them. It's a real fun time. So let's get this started. I've been looking forward to this all week. We're all in. I'm in AFC trash talk groups. I don't know if anybody else is AFC South trash talk groups. So
I'm in like one.
That is the place I get to go to talk trash, but that's not what I want to do tonight. I'm in there all the time talking trash. So I'm here tonight to actually be a little more realistic than what I am when I'm in there. In there, I just say whatever I want to. It sounds stupid and not care about it too much, All right, so
yeah, we have to talk. We have to say good things about our division rivals today. Ugh.
Well, there are good things. There are good things to say about our division. Maybe not the Jags, but there are good things to say about the division rivals that we have.
No, not.
Like let's go ahead and talk about let's go. Let's start off with Houston. So, Damon, what you think about Houston this year?
So let me get the line clear. So we're gonna be what's good and what's the good, bad, and the ugly. I guess we could say. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, we'll hit all points, and then maybe towards the end we'll throw in a little banter just for the fun of it.
Oh, okay. The good is
that segue to my trivia.
The good is they got a phenom of a quarterback who's insanely clutch. Literally, I mean, we play division teams, all year, and I think Deshaun Watson is probably the one person that he gives me the Arian Foster feeling in my heart whenever we play him. I can't remember one time Andre Johnson torched us when I was a kid, but I always remember Arian Foster. It don't matter if he was injured all year. He played against the Colts and he dropped 200 yards all purpose and have every single one of our members of our defense following. But I think the good is you got Deshaun Watson. I don't believe in some of the pieces they have on offense. I flat out don't. Their offensive line, their offensive line, I'm a little worried about. And I know, I know they've tried their best to improve. I think Larry Tunsil's a great addition. He's going to ask. I think did they pay him this offseason?
I think they did.
I know I think they paid him a lot of money, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it was like one of the better deals for lineman and left tackle.
Their salary cap situation is all out of whack, and it's going to get real interesting, I think, because Bill O'Brien likes to pay aging people a lot of money. Example, Randall Cobb. I don't know what he was getting out of that. David Johnson, the whole trade with DeAndre Hopkins. We could talk about that for hours, but as a Colts fan, Bill O'Brien's a gift that keeps on giving. And that's what I think about.
Yeah, he is.
So I agree with a lot of what you're saying too. Randall Cobb, I've always questioned He succeeded somewhat in Green Bay, but he was always overshadowed by either Devontae Adams or Jordy Nelson. And then he comes over to Houston to replace Hopkins. What do you think he's going to be able to, or do you think that wide receiver core can actually take up most of the chunk that Hopkins would take?
If Will Fuller is healthy, yes.
Yeah, that's the big if, though.
And I like that you say that too, because Will Fuller is a deep threat, right? And
boom or bust. That
you can. I'm looking over here. We got I got Deshaun Watson up on the screen over here with on Pro Football Focus. His best throws are deep. So if he has Will Fuller, that's what's telling me is that Will Fuller, if he's healthy, Deshaun Watson's going to be dangerous.
We're talking about a guy that's over 6 foot tall and has legit sub 4.3 speed, at his height.
Yeah.
And same way, DeAndre Hopkins never torches us. It's always Will Fuller.
No, always. Or Kiki Kuti.
Except for that last Texans game. DeAndre Hopkins kind of fucked us.
Except for that last Texans game. Yeah.
That was frustrating.
Yeah.
No, I agree. What about you, Andy? What do you think about Houston?
I think I have to parrot a lot of the things that Zach said. It's the wide receiver core for them, to me, is the biggest question mark, because obviously you don't have DeAndre Hopkins anymore, but they can be boom or bust, as he said, especially with Will Fuller, because Will Fuller, to me, especially because I had him on one of my fantasy teams last year, and I remember him putting up over 50 points, which was insane and unheard of for really any position. And he did it, and I was like, this dude, he just had like a monster game. But then he didn't really produce at that same level again the entire rest of the year. And then I think I remember him being hurt too. Wasn't he hurt for the second game that we played against the Texans last year?
No, he played.
All right, I guess. But I didn't remember seeing him that much.
First game, I think he was hurt. Second game, for sure, I think he played.
I guess I just don't remember seeing him that much, even in that second game, because all I remember was us getting burned and beat down by DeAndre Hopkins. But I think Randall Cobb is probably past his prime. I think, anyway. Brandon Cooks, I don't know what to make of him at all. Injured, but I mean, he can be good, but at the same time, he's bounced around how many teams now? He started out I think this is his fourth team in 4 years, maybe, or something like that.
I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot that they even had Brandon Cooks, and that changes nothing of my point. We'll get there, but that actually makes it worse to me. But go ahead, keep going.
Well, it's interesting because before like this past season, he played like 2 Super Bowls in a row and he lost them both because he was playing for the Patriots against the Eagles. They lost, and I believe he got like mollywopped
by Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah,
by Malcolm Jenkins, and then he went to the Rams and did nothing because the Rams' entire offense did nothing.
Well, I wouldn't fully blame it on who they. Okay, so if you look at what he did in New Orleans, Drew Brees used him as that solo deep threat, right? He wasn't running these short routes, these slant routes. He was running these straight streak routes down the field, and Drew Brees was able to hit him, and he was using his full speed. And then he goes to, let's say, the Rams, right? And the Rams, he wasn't used properly. Jared Goff does not have an arm like Drew Brees had when he had Brandon Cooks. I mean, I love Jared Goff, and the Rams are a solid team to me, but I think Brandon Cooks is scary, to be honest, especially when you look at him playing on the outside left, right? That's on the normal side of the field that he plays the outside left. You look at where look at the thing.
How old is he?
I'm not sure.
Because if we're if we're starting to have people look at Ty like Ty has not really got much left in the tank because he's 30 this year. If Brandon Cooks is a similar age or around the same age, then maybe we ought to be looking the same way at him. Let me look that up real quick.
But I'm not. I don't look at Ty as him losing gas. I look at Ty as his best years are past him because of who's at quarterback. His chemistry with the Andrew Luck, I believe, is part of the reason why Ty had such a good career.
And play style has so much to do with it too. The reason why Reggie Wayne was able to prolong his career was because of his game. He was a route runner. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Speed, he was a finesse type of guy. He had skill. Speed guys don't last in this league very long. I mean, name me one speed guy receiver-wise that's lasted in the league longer than 10 years. Speed.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson's still in the league, I guess.
Jackson's still in the league.
D Jackson. I don't know how.
Okay, so
every year, week 4, what do you see? Broken collarbone out for season.
That's a good point.
That is a good point, but he's still here.
So here's my thing for the Houston Texans receiving core, because this is something we ran into last year. Because I remember, I hate whenever our player personnel, our coaches, and our GM talks really high about somebody or a special group, and then they end up being complete trash the next year. And I know we've had this conversation all the last couple months, so we've had this podcast going about our receiver core. But who do they have if that one token guy gets injured or 2 guys get injured? Who's coming out from them? You know, that's the thing that we ran into this year, like the Miami game always bring up. I mean, our starting receivers were Ashton Dulin, Marcus Williams, I don't think Zach Pascal even played. You see how easy it is, how easy it is for the carousel to come in from the practice squad.
But I get that. I get that too. But here's the thing. It's a couple years ago we had that same issue and we still made the playoffs because of who we had at quarterback. So if you're looking at Houston Texans, they could lose a couple guys. And I would, if I'm a Texans fan, I still have faith in Deshaun Watson.
I have faith in Deshaun Watson, but I don't. Deshaun Watson can't. I don't think he has the Andrew Luck factor, the Peyton Manning factor to make no-name receivers ballers. I mean, Tom
honestly,
Brady factor.
For me, I think it's gonna come down to the offensive line play. If Laramie Tunsil ends up being worth the price tag that they just spent on him, because we know best, probably better than just about anybody, that no offense. If you don't have an offensive line, your quarterback's running for his life, and his true talents are going to be. You're not really going to see them as well because he's not got that protection. I mean, it helps Watson because he's a more mobile threat, but even then, if he's going to have to be mobile a lot if his offensive line's not better, or else he's going to get clobbered.
I like what Zach said. Zach said they've got no tight ends, which is also another solid point. Is that no tight ends, right? Tight ends are a major part in any offense now. It's not like back in the day where you use tight ends as just a blocker. Now they're major, especially in the passing game. And the running back, David Johnson. David Johnson is a major question mark on the Houston Texans offense. But if they get a David Johnson from 3-4 years ago, they could be straight scary. They could be. I think they've been chasing running backs for years. I don't know why they don't just draft one.
Well,
here's Alfred Blue.
Well, here's one that I think we're overlooking because we didn't see him last year because he was hurt. Lamar Miller. What about Lamar Miller?
Well, that's the thing too. They got rid of Arian Foster to get Lamar Miller, and Lamar Miller was solid. And well, you know what? I'm going to keep Lamar Miller out of this conversation until we get to Tennessee. I don't know. Lamar Miller is Lamar Miller, and you get what you get. But they traded DeAndre Hopkins for Johnson.
I got a good question. This is a solid question. And here's my point. I don't think Deshaun Watson's coming back.
I don't think he is either.
I do not see him re-signing to I guarantee. Look, I don't want to do this and curse the NFL world, but I'm telling you, I can see the New England connection.
No, so
I
the
see
way
it.
I see it, the way I
I
see
almost
it
kind
is
of
it's
wanted
gonna
to stay with Houston.
the way
As
Houston
opposed
is
to-
gonna go. The way Houston is gonna go is it's gonna be that point to where they have to choose between Bill O'Brien or Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And if I'm Houston, I'm choosing Deshaun Watson. But if
But
they don't, don't say
do
New
you
England.
think?
Don't
Do
say
you
New
really
England.
think? Do you really think that after all the terrible decisions, the idiotic moves Bill O'Brien has made, that they would even take a player over him? No, that's their organization.
They'd have
I'm
to.
telling you,
They'd have
this
to.
is a disaster. They're a disaster. They have no structure at all, zero, and they've never had structure at all. I mean, there's so many players that have wasted their prime years in Houston. Andre Johnson, for example, could literally be the greatest receiver of all time by many specialists. I mean, the ability he had, no quarterback, 300-yard games, just insane. I mean, and it breaks my heart to see people go to Houston and just waste their years.
Listen, this stays here on this podcast and wherever the hell else it's streaming, and the hundreds of other people that are seeing this. DeAndre Hopkins is my favorite wide receiver for at least the last 20 years.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I
JJ Watt's
know.
one of my favorite players in the league.
Same.
That's what I'm saying.
JJ Watt's one of my favorites, and he's
can't
never
hate-
going to win a Super Bowl. And it's
I
just
can't
God.
hate on DeAndre Hopkins. That dude is a guy who has kept his mouth shut his whole career and has just used his hands. That's all he's done. And
he does
I
nothing
don't
but
know,
give
man.
back. He does nothing but give back to people too.
that is
Yeah.
true too. That is
Great
true
person. He's a great
too.
person.
Hey, let's take a
he's
second real quick. Let's take a second real quick. We said we were going to do this at the 15-minute mark. We're at the 17-minute mark. Go ahead, Andy, and go ahead and pop your trivia question for all those
Right.
for all those who are watching. If you get this trivia question correct, you win break credit. It's $20 break credit for DNR Breaks, who are our sponsors. So you have a chance to get it correct by the end of the episode. The first person who gets it right, the first comment we see that gets it right, gets the break credit, and you'll get with me afterwards. So go ahead, Andy, with your trivia question.
I got a good one today. All right. Here's the question.
I know.
Which Hall of Famer started his career with the Texans started his career for the first year with the Texans and then spent the entire rest of his career with the Colts?
All right. So which Hall of Fame player played his first season with the Texans but played the rest of his career as a Colt? Great times. Great times.
Good luck.
So to me, we'll get back. Houston to me, we keep forgetting the defense. The defense is what it is, and I think they're really good run defense. Their pass defense has obviously needed help, not just against Indy, but against everyone. But their run defense has always been solid. I think they were one of the few teams we were not successful with running against. But if we're going to stick to the offense, because the offense is mainly, I guess, Houston's identity at the moment. I think I hate Bill O'Brien, and I think he's going to continue to hold back Houston. So really, he can stay there in Houston as long as he wants to.
Maybe go to Tennessee next.
Yeah, maybe go to Tennessee next.
Tennessee's not that stupid.
Yeah, no, they're not. I just think I had this feeling when Calvin Johnson retired that Matthew Stafford was going to have to improve his play. You were going to see the type of quarterback that quarterback his full potential, because when you have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins or Calvin Johnson, or let's say a Randy Moss, or a Jerry Rice, or even a T.O., right? Or Marvin Harrison, you're going to favor that one guy the majority of the time. When you lose that guy and then you get two new wide receivers on your squad like Randall Cobb and Brandon Cooks, now you're going to have to spread the ball around. So we could potentially see some of these numbers jump up. I'm looking at Deshaun Watson, and his deep threat is there, right? On his outside left, he's got 105.2 QBR. His between the numbers deep threat is 113.6, and his outside right is 89.5. Which we all can tell, 89.5 on the right side, that's not where Hopkins played, right? So we can either see those numbers drop, but then if you go down lower, he's got a 61.5, 117.2 in the middle, and then 102.4 So that 10 plus to 20 range is not so great. And then you got the 0 to 10. He's got 77.1, 101.1, and 114. So I think most of these numbers, his deeper threat is probably going to drop, I think. But I think his other areas of the field are gonna jump up to me, because he's gonna have to spread the ball around more. Houston, I think they could be second in the division, second or third, depending on Tennessee, but we'll get there. So that's my take on it, and I think they go as far as Deshaun Watson takes them, and J.J. Watt takes that defense. It's as simple as that. If they get behind those two players, that team is going to be scary.
Yeah, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to get a read on J.J. Watt anymore, because I feel like we're at a point with him where it's almost more reputation than talent. But I might be wrong. I just feel like I don't see him doing as much these days. Maybe.
Well, J.J. Watt has had so many injuries in his career, and that's been one thing that's held him back. He's had injury after injury. I don't remember how many full seasons he's played. But when he is on the field, we can't deny the fact that man has an impact on that defense when he's on the field.
That's true. But you don't have somebody on the other side anymore, so for us, it feels like you can almost start double teaming him again.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have Clowney. Wilfork didn't pan out, and that feels like he was the last guy they had that was really a threat over the middle.
Actually, Wilfork's been there for a while, and he played really well with them for at least a few years.
I mean, he's gone now. He retired. I feel like at this point, you almost want to keep your eye on Whitney Merciless more. At least we do, I feel like.
He's been their saving grace in the middle of the field. He has. Their linebacker core is not the most talented, but it's extremely productive. And that was kind of their saving grace last year on defense. So, because their secondary has been as poor as far as I can remember. I mean, Jonathan Joseph's like 39 years old and is still in the league, but I know he doesn't play. I don't think Jonathan Joseph plays there anymore. I think he left this year.
Yeah, he has.
It sucks because T.Y. Hilton has to find a new son now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man. All right, let's move on to Jacksonville. I want to save Tennessee for last. I think Tennessee will be my fun part.
Jacksonville exists.
Hey, all right. Look. We're all right. Look, we're all sitting here questioning Jacksonville, but I mean, you remember, man, that front seven is still there. That thing is still there.
I don't know, man. They lost Calais Campbell, who was their headliner on that front seven. Their secondaries, their two corners that were kind of shut down corners 2017 are both gone now, and Ramsey and Boye. And I don't know who they have behind.
All right. So
I can't even come up with the guys that were behind them, honestly.
Their front seven looks like Shaq Quarterman, Miles Jack, Joe Schobert, Quincy Williams, Leon Jacobs, Josh Allen, Kavon Chasen, Yannick Ngoku, David Hamilton, Aaron Lynch, and Taven Bryan. Aaron Lynch is a guy that I didn't think of his names until some of these people had said these names to me, and Aaron Lynch is up there, man. We're overlooking their defense majorly.
They do have a solid from the names that you've seen, and it sounds like they had a good draft between Shaquille Quarterman and K'Lavon Chason. I've never known. I mean, other than the 2000s and early 2010s, I mean, Jacksonville has kind of always gone after some pretty strong talent in the draft. I don't ever seen them drafting bad, but it's a structure thing with them every year. I mean, How do you have it? I don't know about y'all, but whenever Jacksonville had a deep playoff run, had they won in New England, I think they might have actually won in the Super Bowl that year. That was a very good team, very serious team, and that was what Blake Bortles was quarterback.
Outside of Bortles, I agree.
That was what Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
But to me, that defense it got to the point after that the defense kind of, what's the word? What's the phrase I'm trying to come up with? They bought into their own hype, and you can't do that before you win a championship because then your window's going to slam shut immediately, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I agree.
I think the Colts are guilty of that between 2014 and 2015, and they took a step back after being in the AFC Championship that we're not going to talk about. But you could kind of see the Jags from 2017 to 2018 kind of imploding as well, especially not the least with Jalen Ramsey either. Or it wasn't just Jalen Ramsey either. Like their London game that year, they had a bunch of players that got arrested for racking up like a 5-figure bar tab and not paying it.
Oh, hold on. 1 second, everybody. 1 second. Somebody is ready to join. Hey, it's Rob.
What's going on, Rob?
Hey guys, doing?
It was about time.
I made it. I don't have time to set up the laptop and like my whole station and everything like that. So I'm gonna do it from my phone today.
Hey, you're good, man. You're good. Hey, so we're talking about Jacksonville, brother. So we're here on Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
We'd already talked about Houston, and now we're on Jacksonville.
Gotcha.
I will agree that Jacksonville has the talent, but I feel like it's one of those cases where they're not a well-run organization, and so that's ruining the talent.
From the owner,
You know?
from the owner down. From the owner down. You could see the frustration on Twitter this whole year with everybody wanting to get out of Jacksonville. So,
That's the thing. Wasn't Calais Campbell like begging to get out of there for like months?
I don't think it was
Ngakoue.
Campbell. I think it was Yannick Ngakoue. I don't know if he stopped with his requesting the trade, but he was like, "Thank you to the fans, but I'm a head out. I want to go somewhere else."
Yeah,
he was basically saying, "Please, someone offer something for me."
Yeah, he got tagged and he signed the tag, but he didn't really accept the tag.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, there's not much to talk about the Jags. I'd prefer them to be more competitive than they are.
I wouldn't.
I like Garner Minshew. I will say that, but I don't like anyone else on their offense. Westbrook, D.D. Westbrook, I like him. DJ Chark, maybe. I like him too. But I don't like Leonard Fournette. That dude's a hit or miss.
Yeah.
I think he's more missed than hit anymore.
That's
You
true.
know, and for the last 4 or 5 years as a team, we have played horrible against them.
Yeah,
Horrible.
We got shut out 6-0.
They either put 50 points on
I
us,
was so mad.
or we put up 0 points. I don't.
That's what I was about to say. Is their defense is like what they pride themselves on. Yeah, they have Minshew now. He played a couple good games. You know, sometimes Fournette pops off, but really it's been their defense that, you know, has been what they ride on. And they lost Calais Campbell. That is a huge piece to lose. And then Telvin Smith is out. Their secondary isn't great. It looks pretty bad for them.
That's what I'm saying. But they do still have Miles Jack, Josh Allen, Yannick Ngakoue until they manage to trade him somehow.
Look,
And who's the other guy?
Just for my boy Colby here in the comments, I'm going to say Minshew Magic. All right, Minshew Magic. That's all they got.
Is Colby a Jags fan?
He is a Jags fan. He's a realistic Jags fan, though. He's not the guy that's going to sit here and hype them up like they're the greatest team on earth.
Well, and I think Jags fans are really solid in the sense that they understand that Minshew was correct me if I'm wrong, 6th-round pick.
Yeah,
I think so.
So when someone comes in and plays like that for you, you have to appreciate it. You have to, because it's the value you obtain. But at the same time, when that person goes out there and goes 13 for 36, 110 yards, and 0 touchdowns, you can't get mad either because it's a 6th-round pick. I feel like that's like the trade-off you got to have. I don't know. It's not everybody is Tom Brady. You know what I mean? So
But a lot of these teams don't even need a Tom Brady. Like for us, example, I don't think we need a Tom Brady. There's certain teams that just don't need it.
No.
But I feel like a lot of these teams are chasing the Tom Brady. They want that fucking that guy who's just going to be the greatest of all time. And if it doesn't pan out the first year that they draft him, they release him. Arizona Cardinals. Just saying.
I think the rest of the league just needs to accept a Tom Brady story is probably never going to happen again to that scale.
It's probably
that's crazy.
It's crazy to even think that would happen ever again.
Yeah, I mean the same things happen, and I think every team is accountable for hyping up stuff like that as well, and just expecting so much. Like the expectations we have about Eason. I mean, Chris Ballard. I love how Chris Ballard responds to all this. He's a 4th round pick. Yeah, he hasn't put on Colts gear yet, and y'all think he's going to be the future for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Let the guy step on the field and throw a pass. Not preseason.
Okay. So to be a fan, right? To be a fan at that point, in the fourth round, what I would respond to Chris Ballard is, well, why the hell take him in the first place? If you're going to take a 4th round guy when you have Phillip Rivers, you have Jacoby Brissett, you have Chad Kelly, right? At that point, just stick with those 3 guys. You could have gotten somebody somewhere else that's useful. There's no point in taking Jacob Eason at that point.
I think it's a boomer bust potential he has in the canon. And the people
I
we have
love
in charge.
The canon. That's always
the people we have and the people we have in charge. And the fact that he was a true freshman, he started at Georgia. I mean, not that Georgia's ever known for their incredible quarterbacks, or stuff like that, or receivers necessarily, but I think he does have a great leadership ability. I think a lot more than we'll ever give him credit for. But we're on the Colts stuff now. But
okay. So Jags. I saw that too.
I think that Minshew isn't going to be as bad as people think he's going to be. I think he'll finish somewhere in the middle of the pack. It's not going to be good enough to take him to the plaplayoffs, but I think he'll be. I'll give him some credit. He might get 6 or 7 wins. I mean, it's possible.
I agree. I think they should just stick with
Minshew's kind of an interesting case to me.
I think they should stick with him. He's not a bottom quarterback in the league. He's not. You
got to stick with him. You're not paying him nothing, and he's giving you average to above average performance.
Exactly.
You got to. I think it'd be dumb for them to go target someone else, pay a lot of money, trade for somebody, and then what do you get?
Right. I mean, who do they have now? Who do they have now too that they signed? Was it Blaine Gabbert? If they start Blaine Gabbert over Minshew,
Blaine Gabbert did he get drafted there? Is that where he started?
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I know he's back there. I'm pretty sure he's back there. Kobe might correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where Blaine Gabbert is right now.
I'm curious now. I'm looking it up.
Yeah, last I know he was in San Fran. It's been a while though.
Yeah, and he played in San Fran, and then they got Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo has been there. But I'm pretty sure Blaine Gabbert's over there in Jacksonville now. But I agree, Damon. If you don't just stick with Minshew, especially this year, you're not expecting a whole lot from your roster and from your team. Mike Glennon, that's it.
Mike Glennon.
Not Blaine Gabbert. Mike Glennon. Thanks.
Mike Glennon's not bad. Mike Glennon's not bad. He's not bad.
I don't care. I don't care. He's been in the NFL for like 20 years. I'm down.
He's not good either.
Mike Glennon is one of those guys that has played on every roster. He is Ryan Fitzpatrick. You're going to get good 4 or 5 games, and then that's it.
He's better than Scott Tolzien.
I agree. He's better than Curtis Painter, too, but we're not talking Indy right now. All right? But I'm just saying, you got to stick with Minshew. You got to. I like what Minshew brings to the game.
He didn't have a great first year, but honestly, it's a lot to ask of anybody to have a good first year. And not Luck
only
was
that,
an exception. RG3 was an exception. They're both not starting. Luck's retired because he got hurt too much.
Well,
that's our fault. But I digress.
I agree. And the thing that irritates me so much about some organizations is that you have these quarterbacks that are good, and they give you, like Damon said, the average to above average performances, but you're in their ear and you're like, hey, don't mess this up. You're not going to start if you mess this up. So then they don't give you your full 100%. They don't want to take those chances, right? For example, Johnny Manziel in Cleveland when he had Brian Hoyer, right? They were kind of this thing, right? They were trash. But here's the thing. That coach was in their ear the whole time when Brian Hoyer started. Hey, you messed this up. It's going to be Johnny's game, right? Johnny's going to come in. He's going to start. Hey, Johnny, you messed this up. Brian's going to take it back. And it was the same thing with Minshew last year. Hey, you're just our backup, right? You're just our backup. So when Foles isn't healthy, or when he's healthy, he's starting. What do you think that does to a quarterback's
mindset? Mistake because Foles came back for us and proceeded to get blasted.
Yeah.
I mean, as a 6th-round pick, to know your second string right off the bat, I mean, that's pretty good. I'd be happy if I was him. I mean, then he got put into that situation pretty quick. When did Nick Foles go down? Like week 2?
Yeah. Or
week 1. No, week 1.
Week 1.
First quarter.
First quarter? Oh shit.
Yeah, it was first quarter.
Threw a 60-yard bomb on the second drive, got hurt.
Wow.
I like what Minshew brings to Jacksonville. And I think that is a good baseline to start off with in Jacksonville. I don't think you have to go look for a quarterback. I think at this point you have a quarterback that you can develop. He's shown that he's flashy. He's shown that he can make plays. He's shown that he can make the throws. Now all you got to do is build around him. Why replace him? He's young.
And that Denver game I watched, he played extremely good. And Denver's not a tough team. Denver is not an easy team. And they were in Denver. It was at Mile High, and I think he had a game-winning drive, man. He played super good. And I'm like, if Jacksonville, if their organization was smart, like we were just talking about, they would say, we're going to stand behind him. We made a mistake bringing in Nick Foles, paying him the 3-year $27 million or however much it was, 3-year $36, which he's already gone.
Well, they've already admitted to that by shipping him out.
They shipped him out immediately. Yeah. I mean,
I agree.
I don't know. It's a sticky situation. It was a 6th-round pick. I'm thinking they're looking at
Minshew the way we were looking at Brissett last year. We're going to put all our confidence behind this guy. But worst case scenario is we can figure something out next year if it doesn't work out. I mean, they're not paying him much. He's a 6th-round pick. He's one of the cheapest starters in the league. He probably is the cheapest starter in the league. So I mean, I think they're just publicly throwing their confidence behind him. Maybe they do believe in him. Worst case scenario is they lose some games and they get a high draft pick, or they find one in the draft. I mean, on the free agency. So I mean, I really don't think they have that much invested in him. It's more of a reward than a risk.
Well, and isn't he from the Jacksonville area? Or
I don't think so.
I think he's a Cali boy. I'm pretty sure he's a Cali boy, but
I'm pretty sure he was West Coast his whole life. I think he actually may be from Washington too, or Oregon. One of the two. We'd look it up. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, or I would.
I got it. I can take a look as soon as I find his wiki page.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential, though. I mean, there's no reason why he can't win some games. It's if the pieces around him do what they're supposed to. Same thing as Rivers. He can't. I don't think he's going to be winning games just by himself. It's a team.
Yeah,
Minshew can do it. Minshew could do it.
He is not West Coast. He is from Mississippi.
Mississippi. What? That's the last thing I would have thought.
Who?
And he grew up there. He was there until he went to college.
What? Okay,
we were all kinds off.
Yeah,
high school,
I thought it was Cali,
Mississippi.
I was wrong.
Well, I was wrong too. So to be fair,
all right. So I'm pretty sure we're all at the point that Jacksonville is probably going to come in last in the division this year. I think that's.
Well, no, I just think not first. I mean, they could. I mean, Texans could be fourth. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Well, I think Tennessee could be fourth.
Fair enough. I mean, we could.
We could. Any of us.
I think we're all in agreement that Jacksonville is not going to win the division.
I mean, Ashton Dulin could be our starting quarterback at the end of the year. Who knows?
You better keep Ashton Dulin. What? Damon. I think this is the last time we bring Damon on. All right, he said Ashton Dulin. We cut him. All right, we cut him like 3 weeks ago.
I gotta put Ashton Dulin. Someone put Ashton Dulin in our page on Facebook the other day. Did y'all see that? They're
No,
like,
if I see
Someone-
Ashton Dolan, I don't even recognize it.
someone said receiver most likely to improve this year, and they put Ashton Doolin on there.
Wow.
I thought that was you.
That was not. I did it one time for Rob. That was it.
Oh, fucking trolls, man. Trolls, I tell you. Hey, Colby said 6 and 10. I think I can agree with Colby with going 6 and 10, man.
It's possible.
Rob saw that. He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Cracked me
man.
up. Sorry, Rob.
Hey, speaking of Colby, hey man, we got to get lunch. Colby, hit me up for lunch for next week. All right, let's move on to Tennessee. Tennessee. This is good. This is the one I wanted to save for last. Actually, before we move on to Tennessee, no one had tried to answer this Hall of Fame question yet. So, Andy, you're gonna have to reword your question.
But I don't know how to reword it without making it so much easier. I like that it's hard.
All right.
But okay.
So everybody,
I'll
don't
give,
forget.
tell you
don't
what.
forget
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. It's a player who started with the Texans for the first year, finished with the Colts. I am not talking about the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans.
Haha.
I'll leave it at that.
All right, everybody. So make sure you
If
get
I-
your answer in. All right, you get $20 break credit for DNR breaks. You get to win some cool, fun memorabilia. I currently have 27 mini helmets, a full-size helmet, 7 jerseys, 3 autographed footballs. I got a bunch of shit, man. It's fun.
You know what I think? I think if people are stumped by the end of this podcast, I get the break credit.
Oh.
I'm-
Hey, that's
I'm
a
only-
fun game. That's a fun game. No, Zach, it's
And
not Jim Parker. All right.
And it would motivate me to come up with really hard trivia questions every week, which I like doing.
Hey, man, just remember, slot number 6. All right? Even numbers, bro. Even numbers. All right, let's move on to Tennessee. All right. I want to hear what y'all think about Tennessee. Let's hear Rob, all right? Because Rob came in a little late, so he didn't get to start off with Jacksonville and Houston. So let's see what Rob's got about. Yeah, Mom, I know it's addicting. I've seen you.
Well,
Go ahead, Rob.
well, I mean, I don't know what you guys discuss about the Texans, but the way I feel about them is they lost a lot of morale. So I really don't think that they're going to pull through this Hopkins trade. They are dangerous. They're definitely dangerous. But the Titans are the team that I'm really worried about.
Yeah,
I
me
know
too.
we've had good success. I know we've had good success stopping Derrick Henry in the past, and we have a great D line. So I think we're in a good position as far as stopping their offense. But I really like their wide receivers. They have A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, and they have Tajay Sharp, or is it Tywan Taylor? Tajay Sharp.
I think
Anyway,
it's both.
yeah, I think they have both, right?
I think Sharp might be a tight
and
end.
then they have that young tight end, Jonnu Smith. Like, they have a lot going for them on offense, especially if Tannehill comes back and plays like he did last year. I don't expect him to play at that high level, but they're definitely a dangerous offense. And then the defense is a whole different story. But I'll kick it over to you guys.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Andy.
What do you got?
for me, it's almost like Tennessee's a little bit of a question mark to me because, yes, they were highly successful last year down the stretch, but to me, it's down to whether or not they reproduce that. If they can reproduce that, obviously they're dangerous as hell, but if they can't, then they're going to sink back into anonymity, as it were.
What do you think about the Titans, Damon?
Okay, so this is my personal opinion. Whenever you go to the AFC Championship, whenever you make a deep playoff run, your morale is super high, and you ride on that. You ride on that all the way to the regular season. So I think as a confidence factor, I think they still got it. And they kept that team together pretty well for the most part. For the most part, they've kept the team together pretty well. I think they lost a piece or two on the offensive line. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct?
Conklin.
Yeah, they did. Jack Conklin.
Yeah,
They-
Conklin. Yeah.
That's a pretty good piece.
Mhm.
Do I think it's gonna dictate how Henry plays this season? No. However, I don't. Me, Matt, and Andy were talking about this before the show. I don't have faith in running backs to play the same every year. Not everybody's Adrian Peterson in the mid 2000s where it's 1,400, 1,500, 2,000 yards, get injured, come back, go for 2,000 yards. It's a risky game. It's a carousel. But I don't think their offense has to live and die by Derrick Henry either necessarily. Their defense is straight. It's good, and they got the right people in charge all the way in the organization, from the coaching staff. They do. They've done a very good job, I think, in the last couple of years of fixing stuff. And I think the biggest question mark that everybody should have is Ryan Tannehill. You can't you kind of get what you get with a guy like that, So I think it's a cool little story or whatever, how he came from Miami, below average guy, comes and has a championship run, takes out the Ravens, who probably had one of the best offenses we ever seen in our lifetime, for a whole season, and just destroy them. But it's a cool it's a solid team, So I think that's our competition this year. Of course, that we'll end up beating them both times, and then we'll lose to the Jaguars. That's how it always goes.
Right.
That's how it always goes.
I want to put a quick pause on the conversation to congratulate Zach. He got the answer to my trivia question right. It was Gino Marchetti.
All right, Zach.
Nice.
Make sure you hit me up, and I'll get you squared away with that break credit. So my thing with Tannehill too is, he played a solid season for starting after week 6, right? I think it was week 6 on. I'm looking at him here. He was graded on PFF with a 90.2 and an 87.4 in passing. I think he's pretty much graded PFF number 1 in about 5 different areas as quarterback. My one question mark with him too, I've got 2 question marks with Ryan Tannehill is when he was in Miami, he would have flashes like this. He would show his potential to lead a team, right? And with him being in Miami, at one point he had a top 10 defense. He had Lamar Miller. Remember, I said earlier I didn't want to bring up Lamar Miller until now. He had Lamar Miller, who was a stud in Miami. He also had Jarvis Landry and Devontae Parker all at the same time.
Jay
Ajayi, which was a backup to Lamar Miller. And when Lamar Miller got hurt, Jay Ajayi stepped in. So I'm sorry, but you got A.J. Brown. That's fine. You got Derrick Henry. That's fine. But Tannehill hasn't been able to bring a ring to anybody. He hasn't been able to win a division to anybody. And granted, in Miami, you got to face, Tom Brady and New England Patriots at that point. But they struggled against Buffalo. They struggled against the Jets. And the thing is in 10 regular season games plus his playoffs. So from week 6 on to the AFC Championship game last year, he was sacked 36 times. To me, you're running the ball a hell of a lot, and you're still getting sacked 36 times. Something's wrong. You're getting sacked 5-6 times in a game. That's what it's showing on here. So that's my question mark is he holding the ball too long? Is A.J. Brown taking too long to get open? Because that was his favorite target last year.
But, dude, he made some good throws. I got to give him credit.
Yeah.
He does.
Dude, that over the shoulder he made in Baltimore.
No, I agree 100%. I'm saying is I like I said before the show, and I said to Rob before, we talked about it earlier when we first started the podcast, I love Ryan Tannehill. Always have. I always thought he underperformed, but these are just the question marks that I have around him.
He's got
Tannehill
too.
See,
Tannehill. Go ahead, Andy.
I'm not sure I'm willing to talk. I'm willing to praise his offensive line. I just don't think. I think they might be a little bit overrated, especially with them losing one of their starters. The only other guy that jumps out to me is Taylor Lewan, and I feel like he's more so because he's one of those trash talking guys who's very vocal. And other than that, I've seen Taylor Lewan. I feel like I remember him more for getting stupid penalties.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I feel like what we saw last season, though, was Tannehill unlocked that offense in ways that Mariota never could. He was throwing passes outside. Mariota was throwing them across the middle, getting hit, throwing interceptions. He was very predictable. Tannehill was throwing it outside the hash marks, along the sidelines. He really changed the whole course, the whole offense. I still think they're a question mark because, like Andy, like you said, I don't think their offensive line is as good anymore. I think Conklin was the best the best true lineman on that team, and now he's gone. And yeah, Luan is the leader, but he is good, but he is more of a leader off the field. You know what I mean? For things that don't matter in a game. You know what I mean? Like physical traits. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying I think Conklin was better.
So the majority,
I don't think Tannehill is going to be that good again either. So I don't think Tannehill will be that good again.
The majority of Ryan Tannehill's throws actually came in the middle of the field. He had 92 throws between the 0 and the 10 yards in between the numbers. He had 43 from 10 to 20, and then 20 plus he had 14. So the majority of his throws actually came in the middle of the field too. But he was more accurate. His QBR is a whole lot higher than what Mariota had in the middle of the field. So what that's showing me is that Tannehill's more accurate, man. Tannehill's just making better throws. He's squeezing them in there better than Mariota was, man.
Mariota was looking at like his read, like 1-2 run. Like
right.
Tannehill was going 3-4, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't turning it over. He was throwing it out. He was throwing it away. He was taking the sack, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't many, but he was making a really good. He's playing the best football of his entire life. I don't think he can keep it up for another 16, but
yeah, we'll see.
That was impressive.
The only way I see Ryan Tannehill keeping it up,
they paid him,
is if they give him an offensive line. A dude's gonna need an offensive line.
And I don't think they've done it this year.
Well, they paid him.
They did draft. They did draft a couple of linemen.
They paid Ryan Tannehill.
And they paid Ryan Tannehill so they can lose Derrick Henry because they didn't pay Derrick Henry.
But listen.
They can't afford him now.
You can't blame them. You can't blame them at the same time for paying Ryan Tannehill because look what he did. Like Rob was just saying, he unlocked the offense. You don't bring Ryan Tannehill in that offense, they don't make the playoff run. They do. They don't.
Right.
In fact,
that's a good point.
We probably play for a divisional game. We might make the playoffs last year if Tannehill doesn't come in. But
I don't know about that. I
don't know.
I think our season changed whenever. I don't know. I just think our season will have changed differently. That's my personal opinion. But you can't blame them for paying Tannehill and not paying Henry whenever running backs are so inconsistent. You don't know what Derrick Henry's going to do next year. He might pull a Jamal Lewis, go for 2,000 yards, and then go for 900 the next year and be hurt all year. It's
just generally bad business to pay running backs giant contracts. I mean, it just generally doesn't work out in the long run. I mean, there's not many examples where it does. Short term. Go ahead.
The whole ESPN completely trashed the Titans this offseason whenever they didn't, extend Derrick Henry, give him the huge contract, and they extended Tannehill. They're like, what are y'all thinking? What are y'all doing? Okay, Derrick Henry could still run for 1,600 yards last year, but they might win 8 games. 7-8 games, that's the nature of the game. That's how it unfortunately is for running backs. Running backs is a tough business. They have 6 to 8 year careers. They could have 2 or 3 seasons on there where they run for 1,500 yards. This is how it works.
I think this is his last year in Tennessee. They put him on the franchise tag. He's happy making big money for 1 year, but he wants to get paid next year. I think he's still only like 23, 24. He could still get a big contract. And like you guys were saying, I think now that they paid Tannehill, Henry's days are numbered.
Yeah, I like Derrick Henry. I think he's a phenom. He's huge, literally huge. He's what, 6'3", 6'4", 240 pounds.
He's huge. Yeah.
Yep. He's built like a shooting guard. He has the size of a shooting guard and the width of a linebacker. And he's a solid 4'5".
He's a solid, great character guy.
And the thing that makes sense about not paying him is his inconsistency. There have been times where he just does not bring what he normally does to the table.
I think it used to be his magic month was December. He just brought the December energy last year every month.
Yeah.
And just like the game he did against Baltimore, I've never seen a running back destroy a team. And it's like he had a wrecking ball on his helmet against Baltimore.
Are you forgetting what he did to Jacksonville?
Oh, I know.
He doesn't forget.
But you got the
You can't forget that one, man.
You got
Boy,
the
that run.
14-2 Baltimore Ravens. You do him like that. I mean, he made Earl Thomas look like
Stupid.
What's his name? Greg Toller. Hey, look at Greg Toller.
Yeah, he looks stupid on that play.
Woo, that was
Bro, I remember when he made Jacksonville just look dumb. Just look dumb.
I had chills watching that Titans game against the
Yeah,
Baltimore Ravens. I had chills.
The Jacksonville run, wasn't that week 15 of that season, and then we played them 2 weeks later, and I was like, and then they kept showing his December stats.
So it was the year.
Us,
it was the year Andrew. The year Andrew Luck came back from injury, and we went to the playoffs, and we beat Tennessee on Sunday Night Football when that game was flexed. That was the year. It was like 2 weeks before. Derrick Henry just runs a 99-yard run, literally stiff-arming every player on that defense.
Yeah,
and I thought the same thing. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Well, the other thing that scared me.
Week 17.
Well, the other thing that scared me is that game was in Tennessee, and leading up to that game, the Titans were like 6-1 at home. They had that kind of head scratcher shutout against the Ravens like early in the season, but they had won every other home game, and I was like, so I know Andrew Luck's never lost to the Titans, but
bro, I was so
intimidating game to me.
I was so scared for that game. I remember watching that game week 17. I had my bottle of Jack ready to go. Right, I was drinking beer the whole game. Drinking beer the whole game, and then you guys know Lee and Brad, right? From NFL Longest Yard.
I know Brad. I don't know if I remember Lee.
We told each other. We told all three of us told each other that we were going to take shots. As soon as if we won that game, we were just going to take shots together. And we just sent videos of each other taking shots after we beat Tennessee that night. We were just, oh man, I remember that.
The crazy thing, it ended up being our saving grace that Mariota got hurt the week before, or whatever, and they started Blaine Gabbert, and Blaine Gabbert was completely useless.
What are you talking about?
But
it's Mariota. He don't fear anybody. He doesn't make anybody scared.
But that's true. But it wasn't their starter, is the point that I'm trying to make here. And but I remember that game. They opened with like some kind of reverse on the kickoff, and it got like either at or past midfield, and I was like, shit. But then they went 3 and out, and the Colts marched. They marched down, scored a touchdown. They did it the next drive too, and I was like, I feel better about this.
Let's not talk about the Andrew Luck years. That guy was such a phenom.
Yeah, let's not.
Goodness gracious.
Let's talk about the Phillip Rivers days right now. I think that our team. Yeah, I mean, I've had enough of the Andrew. It hurts my feelings every time we.
Yeah,
that's the phenom, dude.
Look. All right, so let's talk about now then. All right, so we're gonna go.
That's what I'm saying.
Go a little past time. So we said we were gonna talk about the AFC South. So we're gonna talk about the Colts too, right? Because this is for the shoe. We're all for the shoe. So I think we have the best roster we've had in 13 years.
I agree.
I think so too.
Yeah, I'd say actually the Super Bowl run we made against people never want to talk about our was that 15-1 season or 14-2?
We were 14-2. We went 14-2 because we benched our starters for week 16 and 17.
I think that's probably the best roster we've had since then, 100%. Yeah. And I would even say this team is better because of how young it truly is.
That's what I'm saying. This roster is so young and so talented. When we were doing our roster cuts, it was hard because we were looking at some of these dudes. Like me and Rob, I think it's the one thing we are kind of like weird with is Anthony Walker and Bobby Okereke. I like Walker, he likes Okereke, but we both like them both. It's like it's just.
See, and that's why I would hope that maybe one of them converts because they're both middle linebackers, right?
I think that's what's going to happen.
I want one of them convert to right linebacker, and
I think It'd be
I think one's going to
Okereke.
move to Sam. I think it's
Because
going to be Okereke too.
Walker is
Okereke.
is the 2x4 in the middle of our defense. That guy is just a stud. So criminally underrated in the league. By league standards, he should be not at the top, obviously, of the list, but I mean, definitely considerable mention. The guy's a flat out beast.
Which is crazy when you think about the fact that he's not even what we would consider the best linebacker on our team, because we have a monster, a maniac.
So here's the thing. But and that's why we're saying that, is because a lot of people want to talk about our offense all the time. They want to talk about Phillip Rivers, and our team goes as far as they allow as he's going to play, right? But I disagree 100% with the fact that Phillip Rivers, we don't go as far as Phillip Rivers goes. We go as far as what our defense is going to do. And if you look at some of the best games the Colts have played in the last 2 years, our defense has stepped up majorly. When Darius Leonard missed a couple games last year, who stepped up? You had Bobby Okereke stepped up. That dude was a monster when Darius Leonard was out. Anthony Walker led the team in tackles as a middle linebacker, which is what he's supposed to do. So that's what I expect from him. You know what I'm saying?
Offensive line. The offensive line is definitely the most important unit in our team. And then the whole defense. I mean, but definitely the offensive line is what drives this franchise right now.
Well, Ballard's doing the right.
Finally,
I can't disagree with that either, because I'm just saying it just does. To me, it's not what Phillip Rivers does. As long as he doesn't throw 20 interceptions, we win the division. That's it. He can go ahead and throw 10, 11. That's fine, and not in critical times, obviously. But
we're talking about the AFC South today, so I mean, I think when you look at everything that's considered with the losses and the acquisitions of every team, the Colts didn't lose anybody. They just brought in people. And young guys are just growing. The only guy that might have a little bit more wear and tear that you have to be concerned about is Justin Houston, but I doubt it.
I think Justin Houston could still play at a high level, personally.
I do too, and he did. He really did for us, and he was kind of the anchor on our defensive line last year. You know, where everybody else was getting banged up, he was kind of the guy that still showed up to play for us every week.
And now he's going to have a monster helping him.
Yep. And he always has that chip on his shoulder. And I personally think we should still go after. Help me out, ex-Viking.
Clowney?
No, ex-Viking. Absolute beast, Pro Bowler.
Anthony Barr?
Everson Griffin. I think that's a solid piece. I think we're in a good spot right now. You know, I really do. And it, like you said, the season doesn't make up just because of what Phillip Rivers is able to accomplish. I think what he brings to us is, like I said, the ability to move the ball down the field at a little bit different level, the leadership ability. Not saying Jacoby Brissett isn't a leader, but Phillip Rivers is a different leader. It's a different type of leadership, you know.
He's more aggressive. Jacoby is conservative, Rivers is more aggressive.
Well, and Phillip Rivers is an NFL legend, you know. I mean, it's a lot. You know, I'm not calling Jacoby Brissett, not a great football player by any means, but
he's not a legend. I mean, look, I can tell you there's been, I said this last year, right, when we had Jacoby, and I love Jacoby, but about 10, 15 years ago, when you would hear we're going to play the San Diego Chargers, not LA, this is before they moved to LA, San Diego Chargers, you were like, fuck, we got to play Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Right? But last year, how many teams were probably like, oh, shit, we got to play Jacoby Brissett? How many? Probably none, right? Maybe a couple teams after that Denver game when he broke that tackle against Von Miller. Maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, the rest of that game, that was the one good play he had the whole game. That whole game he threw for 110 yards probably.
Right, but I mean, Jacoby can make plays. We can't deny that Jacoby can make plays. He knows how to use his body. He knows how to get out. He knows how to, he can hit windows when he has to. But he's just afraid to put the ball down the field. But I'm just saying, there was not many teams last year that was like, oh no, we have to play Jacoby Brissett. No, he's not. He doesn't put fear in defenses like Phillip Rivers is going to put fear in defenses, and fans are going to sit here and say, Oh, Phillip Rivers threw 20 interceptions last year. That don't matter. Defensive coordinators
Last
are like,
year.
all right, we have to prepare for Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. I'm most excited to see what kind of offense we groom and what kind of offense we create this year. It's not going to be the same. It's not. I mean, now we have a 2-punch in the running back. We have a lot more talented, a lot more healthy receiving core. We have a different quarterback. We have the same offensive line. So the ball is in our court. It is. It's in Frank Reich's court too. I'm a lot more critical of Frank Reich than y'all are, and I know y'all have heard me say it before.
No, I'm with you, bro.
I'm a lot
Me
more
and Rob
critical.
have had this talk multiple times.
I don't care. I don't care if someone's a good guy. I don't care. I don't care if you're the best player.
I
If
agree.
all the players love you. What good is it whenever you don't take us to the playoffs? And same thing with Chris Ballard.
I agree.
You can't. All the uncontrollable circumstances we've talked about. Andrew Luck retiring, dude. You can't control that. You can't control the best player in the NFL at the time, arguably, to retire, walk off the field. You can't control that. And so, I think the ball is in our court, And if it's win or not, and Chris Ballard and Frank Reich have to prove to the fans, have to prove to the organization that they've put together a team that can win football games and win playoff games. And if he doesn't, they don't perform. They don't have a job. So it's the ball's in our court. We every weakness that we've had, we've tried to make a strength. So
You know what I like about the additions that we've made, which I don't think we've addressed in this type of angle for within our division, right? So I'll start with DeForest Buckner, right? We didn't say that name this whole episode, which I think that was the first time we've gone about an hour or 5 minutes without saying DeForest Buckner. Look, DeForest Buckner is the counter to Derrick Henry. All right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's those type of things that we added players that are going to help us win, and if we don't utilize those players correctly, let's say Xavier Rhodes, like Zach is asking over here, right? Xavier Rhodes is not fast at all. We all know that. He's been burned multiple times. Hold on, guys. Hi, baby. Yeah, you're eating an Oreo. Go.
I think they want you to wrap this up pretty soon.
No, she just came in to show me she had an Oreo. But Xavier Rhodes is slow, but here's the thing. Kari Willis. We also didn't say that name either. And Kari Willis.
Beast.
I was having this conversation the other day. Someone tried to say Kari Willis needs to be more consistent. And I think that to me, you don't understand what a strong safety is meant to do. And a strong safety. So Kari Willis played 50 or 40-something% of his time either on the defensive line or up in the box. He was the eighth man in the box the majority of the year. He played some time at safety, but it wasn't as much. You know what I'm saying? He was ranked 22nd in coverage. That's by Pro Football Focus, right? 22nd as a backup strong safety. He was 22nd in coverage. He allowed 20-something receptions. He played over 600 snaps, right? So Kari Willis paired with Malik Hooker, who's trying to earn a contract, where Malik Hooker is going to be on the same side as Xavier Rhodes. I think Xavier Rhodes is going to have a good season. Mainly because he's going to have Malik Hooker on that side with him. And then we talk about TJ Carrier, right? We don't talk about him enough. I think he's going to be a stud. I think Rock showed great development throughout the season.
We have beasts everywhere on the defense. Like, I struggle to think about a starting spot where there isn't a guy that I'm like, damn, he could be really good this year. Every single guy, when it comes to Banagoo, like, you know what every guy. I know
me and Rob really like TJ Carey. I know me and you like him a lot. We like him. I love him a lot. Yeah, he's just he's the kind of guy you want to. He's a Mike Mitchell, just he shows up, he performs, he plays, and it. Yeah, no, keep going, man. I agree. It's the ball's in our court. It's up to us. It's up to the personnel, the player personnel, the organization, to bring us out there on Sunday and the players to show up and win.
You're right, and what I love about it too is that Maurice Campbell. Let's go to the offensive side. That man needs to stay healthy. If he stays healthy. Look, Phillip Rivers is going to use him, and he's going to be dangerous. He's going to be dangerous. I don't see T.Y. Hilton having as big of a year as everyone thinks T.Y. Hilton's going to have. I think T.Y. Hilton's years are past him. I've said it multiple times. I think his seasons were because his great seasons were because of Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's chemistry with T.Y. Hilton, that was it. That's where it was.
I think he's still going to lead the team. I think he's still going to lead the team in catches and definitely targets, but he's definitely on the decline. I think we can all realize that. But I think he'll get re-signed anyway because he's a culture guy. He's a glue guy,
and he's not going to ask for a lot of money. He's not going to ask for a lot of money either, because he wants to.
He's not.
Yeah, he wants to play here and then have it be that.
He even said that he wants to retire at Colton. He's not going to play anywhere else. I think he's going to sign maybe a 2-3 year deal. I think he wants to be here to help form the future of the receiving core, kind of like Reggie did, man. But Ryan Grigson didn't help Reggie too much. He gave him Ty, and that was it. Then we had Darius Hayward-Bay and some other scrubs on the receiving core, and that's what we've had for years.
Traded Dante Moncrief.
And Dante Moncrief, I personally liked him.
Moncrief, man.
He would drop everything when he was needed to catch it. Any other time, he would catch it.
His rookie year caught me. Moncrief, man.
He had a good year in Jacksonville. I know that.
Well, a couple.
Not fair enough for them to want to keep him, though.
That was the case for us in those years. Vic Ballard, complete beast.
I love that guy.
Let's not go back to those years. We already said we weren't going to go back.
I know. We'll go back to Andrew Luck era, man. But
I love that 2013 roster. That was my favorite. That was one of my favorite rosters. 2013.
Well, I think
Vic Ballard and all those guys. Reggie Wayne was still a beast. Ty was a beast. I love that roster.
I don't think Ty leads our team in receptions. I think it's really gonna. I wish they would just let Zach Pascal take over the duties and be the number one guy. He has it. He has it. He has to get off the line speed. He did great against one-on-one coverage. Whenever we needed him to be the number one guy, I feel like he did great for us. And we can look at the numbers too. He did. Whenever he was the number one receiver, lined up left, he always did well. When Ty would come back, what would happen? He'd, go for 3 receptions, 36 yards, and that'd be the game. And then, Ty would get targeted 100 times, and Father Time regresses on a guy who used to be able to run a 4.3.
But we have to remember when Ty was being used and he was catching 10 plus yards, Andrew Luck was under center, and we don't want to go back to that. But Jacoby didn't throw. He doesn't run the same style of offense that
he doesn't.
Ty.
Michael Pittman Jr. can do everything that Zach Pascal can do.
I agree. I do agree to that. I do agree. But we haven't seen him step on the field and play yet either.
That's true.
I agree. I think my second guy would be Pittman. My second guy would be Pittman. It will 100% be. I love him. That was a safest
He's the number
pick.
one, man. He's the number one. I mean, essentially, for the future, he's the number one. Paris Campbell, I believe in him to stay healthy this year, and I think he's going to have a great year. I think we have 2 solid receivers for the future.
Yeah, you know what?
And then Ty will always be there for the clutch.
I agree.
He could be the Pierre Garcon.
And for Houston.
And for Houston.
Here's another name. Here's another name. I've been watching YouTube videos all week of this guy. I don't know why. I've been so hyped up about this dude for since before draft day, and we didn't draft him till like day 2 or day 3. I can't remember. Jonathan Taylor. What he is gonna bring. That's gonna change our whole offense. I think. We keep talking about receivers and who's going to lead it, but who's going to lead in rushing? Is it going to be Marlon or is it going to be Jonathan? I think that's a huge question, man, because Jonathan Taylor that dude's a monster. That dude is
I think it needs to be a race between Mack and Taylor.
They need to make it a race, and if they make it a race, this offense is scary.
I already told y'all how I think it was going to go a couple episodes back. I really do. I think it's going to be a race for the first couple of weeks. Someone's going to get hurt. I'm not going to say a person who. You could probably guess.
Yeah.
And someone's just going to take over and go 85, 90, 100, 100, 100, 100. Stuff that Mack doesn't do. I'm sorry. I like Marlon Mack, but it's 150 or 30
It's
from him.
game over.
I agree, man, and that's funny
It's
that you say
150
that.
or 30.
Because I even watched.
He doesn't play 16 games, so it's a matter of time. Jonathan Taylor probably will. I believe that he will.
But see, Rob, remember, man, I told you before the draft, I said, look at Jonathan Taylor. Watch this guy. I am in love. And it
You
was
were
all
the first one to tell me.
Ashley
Yeah, you told
to
me that
watch
about him. Yeah.
Ashley told me to
I'm
watch
guilty.
him. I went and watched him, and I was like, I want this guy on my roster. Why? Because Marlon Mack's longest run for a touchdown was against the Chargers, which was week 1 of last year. He's had some long runs after that, but they weren't, he gives up at a certain point. He doesn't have that endurance to go that 80 yards, right? Because he's going to go 40, he's going to be gassed. He's going to get caught. Jonathan Taylor doesn't have that, man. As soon as Jonathan Taylor hits that turbo, he's gone. You ain't catching him. You're not. You're lucky. You're going to have a 4-2-0 40-yard corner coming to catch you. If he gets into any type of open space, Jonathan Taylor's gone. That's it,
He's
man.
definitely more of a home run hitter than Marlon Mack. But
Yeah.
I think Marlon Mack is still a 3-down back. I think he's been working on his game. I think he has the endurance. He's made some really cool plays, even though they weren't for the long yard ones. But like he's had some really cool moments. The double spin play, he like stiff arm 3 guys in one play. He's had some. I really like Marlon Mack. So it sucks.
I do too.
I agree with Damon.
I do too. And I'm not.
That's where I
I'm not
can't give
saying
up
I don't
on
like
Marlon
him.
Mack.
But we gotta be
he runs out of
realistic.
the gas eventually, but
But if you watch a certain video that I watched the other day of Jonathan Taylor, he had the same exact spin play that Marlon Mack had. So I mean, you're still getting, the double spins, the cutbacks from the left side of the hash to the right side of the field, because the hole wasn't there. I'm going to go this way and find a hole. He still has that type of mentality. But the one thing that I love about Marlon Mack that a lot of people don't see is his pre-snap read. A lot of people don't think of that as a running back. Most of the time it's a quarterback, right? We're thinking, what's he reading on the blitz? With Peyton Manning in his Omaha and all that fun jazz, Tom Brady changing up the play at the line. Marlon Mack, if you look at and you really watch him when he runs the ball, he knows where he's going before the ball is snapped. Even if he has to cut back, he instantly.
I'm gonna tell you this: on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, I want Marlon Mack, not Jonathan Taylor.
And I'm with that. I don't want to lose Marlon Mack at all. I'm just saying Jonathan Taylor just excites me.
And guess what? Every good football team that ends up winning a Super Bowl always has a good 2 running back punch, regardless of who the quarterback is. Dominic Rhodes and Joseph Adai. By the way, Dominic Rhodes still owns a record for most all-purpose yards in the Super Bowl by a player. Y'all didn't know that. Dominic Rhodes still owns that record. Yeah. Y'all remember that?
I might have used that for trivia somewhere down the line.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Look it up, Andy. But it was like over 185, 190 yards. He had like 100 yards on the ground and like 85 over during the passing. The dude's a beast. Another guy I wish we held on to in the old square. And then like Paris Campbell could be the Pierre Garçon kind of guy that we need. Your number 2 guy. Your number 1 guy doesn't need to be a playmaker. Is what I always tell people. Your number 1 guy needs to be the consistent guy that goes out and runs a route 10, 15 yards.
Reggie.
Your number 2 guy needs to be the playmaker. The guy that can go 60 yards down the field, do these incredible things, go over the middle, burn somebody out, and then catch the ball after contact. So, yeah, I agree. And our tight end group's strong too. It really is, So
it is.
So my thing, my only question is Paris Campbell, because if he's healthy and he can perform, because I favor slots. I think slots can change a whole offense, man. They're in the most mismatched area of the field, right? Because depending on whatever play that defense is calling, they could have a linebacker on them. And if you got Paris Campbell going against a linebacker, bro, that's scary.
I like the idea of Zach Pascal in the slot. He's a great blocker. It would be so great to use him on a run plays, just designed just so the defense thinks it's a pass. He's in the middle. He blocks next to a tight end. I mean, I really like Zach Pascal in the slot. I respect his talent. I don't think that we should use him as our number 1 wide receiver, but he has a big role. He could play a big role on the offense regardless.
He's got game. He does. Man, that last drive of that Steelers game that Adam Vinatieri lost for us, that dude went complete off. I mean, The ball went to him every time. Hit some insane sideline grabs and stuff like that. But no, I'm excited. And we forgot about Naheem Hines.
I'm so glad you said that name. Boy, Naheem Hines.
We don't have to facilitate him as a running back.
Look, no, and here's the thing though, we don't have to use him as special teams anymore, right? Like I said earlier, the way that Chris Ballard took this offseason makes a whole lot of sense. Isaiah Rodgers. You said it before I can get it out. That man, he is going to be our special teams guy, guaranteed. There's no question about it. That's what he was known for in college. So what does that do for Naheem Hines? He's going to be not gassed from trying to make a big return. He's going to be able to use every ounce of energy he has on offense, and it's in the receiving game. And
So
with
just
Philip
looked it up,
Rivers, he
Damien.
favors that running back position in the receiving game. Naheem Hines is going to have a year, man.
So let's see. You wanted to know most all-purpose yards in a single game for the Super Bowl, Damon?
Yeah.
It's not Dominic Rhodes. It's Jacoby Jones from Super Bowl 47. And you know what edge he has is he had that 108-yard
Kickoff
return.
return.
Yeah, I remember that
Oh.
kick return. Yeah.
I remember there being a lot of people wanting Dominic Rhodes to win the Super Bowl MVP over Peyton Manning because of how good of a game he had. I remember that. I remember that people were like, dude, he could be a Super Bowl MVP because Peyton Manning, had a decent game during the Super Bowl, but not the
It wasn't
best
great.
for sure.
Yeah,
No.
it wasn't great.
Joseph Adai
was good
played like
enough.
a complete boss. Dominic Rhodes played like a boss. Their defense showed up. So
I mean, that's what happens when you place the amount of value on the quarterback position that people do, because I don't know if I would have called Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl MVP in this last one. I probably would have given it to, Damian Williams? But I think it's less about – I feel like it might be less about overall performance of the game and more of that MVP moment, which
True.
for Mahomes was that heave to Tyreek Hill on like a critical third down, and that led to a score, and it led to them taking the lead, and that was history. But I agree. I think that Dominic Rhodes could have been the Super Bowl MVP and our one Super Bowl victory for Indianapolis, but it wouldn't be the first time a quarterback has a relatively lackluster stat sheet for a Super Bowl, still wins it. I don't think it's going to be the last.
It won't be the last. It happens all the time.
Tom Brady's
Yeah,
first Super Bowl MVP was like 100-something yards, one interception. He didn't throw for any touchdowns,
and
but he still won it.
I'll live by this all the time. That 09 Colts team, right? 09 is what we were talking about earlier. 09. Super Bowl team that we lost. That's the best Colts roster. That's the best Colts team I ever watched with my own two eyes. Oh, my God. Putting 50 points on people, 45 points on people, defense playing all cylinders. Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney, kind of still at the top of their game. It's crazy. Good times.
I think it was
Nice.
I know a lot of people
Hi.
say 05.
Hello, girl.
They're all saying hi.
Hi.
Say go Colts.
Hey.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, go Colts. Yeah. You did it.
Yay.
She is all Colts stuff, man. She's a Colts fan.
Cute kid.
good. You raised her right.
Yep, I did.
Yeah, you
Since
did.
she was born, man. She's deaf and hard of hearing. So she does sign language and stuff. And football is this. So she just kind of does this and says yay at the same time. That's what she thinks of football. For me cheering at the screen.
That's nice. That's sweet.
Oh,
All right, boys. I guess we're done, right?
yeah.
I
We,
think it's
we've
that
been
time
going
to
for a
wrap it
while,
up
man.
this time. We're almost an hour and a half in.
Hey, it was good to have you here, Rob. Man, I feel like it's been
Yeah, I
forever.
made it. I made it a little bit late, but Better late than never, right?
Don't worry, man. We're gonna talk this week about moving it back.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Before, yeah, we'll definitely figure it out. Damon, it's always fun. It's always fun to have you.
Yeah, bro. Glad to have you as always.
I'm telling you, like I said, I just got all settled in down here. Whenever y'all want, you know.
So is that a Colts blanket on your bed there?
It's not. So it looks like it, but I used to have a 2007 Colts Super Bowl, it was 07, it was 06. Comforter. I did have that, but I want to show y'all my pennant from 07 from this year. That's kind of like my prized possession. This is one of those ones that goes for a lot of money. I remember, and in Texas, I mean, some of y'all can relate. I know Matt's a military guy, so finding sports memorabilia outside the state they play in is absolutely miserable.
Yeah,
and I remember
order everything online, man. Everything.
Well,
this banner I got on Amazon.
Well, 14 years ago, when this stuff came out, that wasn't really feasible. That was back whenever anything you bought off eBay, you get ripped off on.
Well, me and Robert from Jersey. So back in the day, it was like trying to buy Colt stuff like 20 years ago, dude. It was impossible.
Oh yeah.
It was impossible.
I could probably find both your thing, Damon, and your banner, Matt. I could probably go find them downtown.
I got the
Andy.
MVP
get it at the mall.
Me and Rob, all we could find right now is Seattle shit. All right.
Right.
But I remember that. I have family in Kentucky, and they're pretty decently close to Indy, so they went and bought a 12-pack of Cokes for me. They had the Colts Super Bowl stuff on it. But
do you still have those? Or do you still have one of those cans?
In storage, I do 100%. I don't know
how
many I have.
Sometime.
I'll have to pull those out, but yeah, I remember. And then for my birthday that year, I got the Joseph Adai Super Bowl jersey. But I
got the Bob Sanders Super Bowl jersey.
I
got it right after we won the Super Bowl, man. I swear, my mom. She went right on the internet and ordered that shit as soon as we won the Super Bowl.
Dude, what was that back then? Where would you buy jerseys back then? I mean, y'all gotta remember that I was 8 years old when we won the Super Bowl.
I was 15. So Google was still a thing. All right.
It was
still everything's online. All right.
Y'all going to Pivot Sports?
All right. Let's get out of here, guys.
Yo, check this out. One more thing. I forgot to tell you guys, when we won the Super Bowl, that was on my birthday. That was so awesome for me. 2006. Because Super Bowl is always usually in late January, early February. My birthday's February 5th. That specific year, it was on my birthday. So that was a hell of a birthday for me. I think I just turned 17.
That was that year. Back then, I was a Florida Gators fan. That was when I claimed as being a Florida Gators fan. And Florida beat Ohio State in the national championship that year. And then we went ahead and went to Super Bowl and Super Bowl. So I had a double championship that year. I was pretty excited too.
Didn't they win? They won basketball, baseball, and football that year. All national championships, didn't they? They had a sweep. Yep. Yeah.
And, the funny thing is if you guys don't remember, the starting quarterback of the Florida Gators that year was Chris Leak. Tim Tebow was the backup. And Tim Tebow was only used to run read options or the QB draw.
Yeah.
So like his New York and New England days.
Yeah.
Tight end Tim Tebow.
Yeah. All right, guys. It was definitely fun. Everybody, make sure you come out next week. This week was definitely fun. I definitely had fun on this episode. I wasn't serious as a 53-man roster. So we'll do more trivia. Who won the trivia this week? Was it Zach?
It was Zach.
Zach, make sure you message me, and we'll definitely I'll get you tied into DNR breaks. Everybody else, make sure you come out next week. Go ahead and drop comments. We interact 100%, man. This is just for fun. We like to just hang out. So, all right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Go Colts for the shoe.
All right. Go Colts.
Go Colts.
Pat McAfee's lost his mind.
The rivalry is back on.